Welcome to a brand new episode of the Post Game. I'm your host Davion, and today we are back with our Let's Talk NFL series. Today we are continuing with one of our final divisions, and today we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a pretty interesting season. I mean, under Mike Tomlin, over the past 12 years at least, I think it's been at least 12 years, probably 14 years. They have gone over 500 this season or last season. They did the same exact thing. They went 10-7, which is, if you look at it, it's a pretty incredible season. But they only finished third in their division. I mean, their division was stacked with some their division is one of the most competitive divisions in the National Football League. We know that with the Bengals, with the Ravens, and with the Browns. And, three of those four have really great defenses and really top NFL defenses like the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns. And so, you look at it, 10-7 on the season. Will they become will they continue to do that? Will they keep that up? I'm going to talk about the main thing. My biggest question of this entire video is to ask Steelers fans, can your offense get going this season? Can it finally find some footing after Ben left? They just haven't looked like a relevant offense at all in the National Football League and has looked like a bottom 15 offense. So that's the question. So can their offense get back to normal? I'm excited to see what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe. We're chasing that 1,000 before the end of the year, so just like, subscribe, and I love it. So, listen, my question is, can their offense, develop and be better? I'll answer that later on. But getting rid of Matt Canada, who was atrocious for a very long time, we know he was just bad, and replacing him with Arthur Smith, who, in my opinion, is just as bad. I mean, when I look at him, when I look at Arthur Smith, like I think of Matt Canada. I mean, for what he had in Atlanta, for what they did, didn't really get it done, did not use the talent that he had in Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Cordell Patterson. With all those guys not being able to get it done, can this offense finally start to wake up with the new additions they have bringing in, like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? Can one of those two quarterbacks ignite their offense and get them going? And and I hope that at the end of the season the answer is yes, but you never know because there's so much unknown about this team, so much unknown about this entire NFL. I think you look around the league, there's a lot of teams that you just don't really know about. Like you look at the Chicago Bears are a big question mark. The Raiders are a big question mark with their quarterback struggles, but that's like the only downfall they have there. So, but getting back to the Steelers, like they re-signed Mike Tomlin to a longer extension, which is good for him. They went out and picked up Patrick Queen, who in my opinion is one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. They gave him a 3-year deal coming over from Baltimore. And, I'm very, very impressed about how they got business done and getting Patrick Queen into there. So I think he'll just add depth into their team. Like, I mean, you look at it, they're notable players. They have T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and now Patrick Queen. That defense is going to, from back to front, from front to back, are set. They are fine for the foreseeable future. And I think, when you're looking at this team and at this defense, they are going to be the leading factor of the Steelers' success, like they were last season. And so, but some additional news that happened this offseason. They went and they released Allen Robinson. They released Patrick Peterson. They went and traded Deontay Johnson to the Panthers for the Dante Jackson, the cornerback, just to add some depth in their secondary. They traded Kenny Pickett to the Eagles. I mean, they went and picked up Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, two quarterbacks who are also like on very small contracts. Like their contracts are not killing the team at all. So impressive business from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went and signed Van Jefferson Jr. From the Rams as well. So, I mean, looking around, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen. I think, like I said at the beginning, they are in a very competitive division with the Bengals. They're definitely going to be back this season, and they're not going to want to sit aside and watch everybody else have all the fun. So, when you look at their schedule, which we're going to do right now, their schedule is going to be very interesting. They open up in Atlanta. Atlanta will potentially win the NFC South. As a Saints fan, it hurts saying that out loud, but they can potentially win the NFC South. And I think it'll be in Atlanta. New head coach down in Atlanta. Can their team really figure it out? Arthur Smith is returning. Excuse me. I think what's going to happen, I'm going to say that they are going to win this game in Atlanta. I think Atlanta are going to take some time to really figure it out with Kirk Cousins coming back from that ACL, Achilles, one of the two injuries. And just gonna be a slow start for Atlanta, but they'll find it at one point. I think they're gonna go up to Denver and beat Denver as well. I think this is where the question marks come in. Do they beat the Chargers? I think so because I think the Steelers defense will limit and shut out and not give enough time to Justin Herbert. Even though the Chargers did go out and get him a lot of O line help this offseason, I think this will be a stop. And I think this is 3-0 to start the Steelers for the to start the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then they go to Indianapolis. I think also another win for the Steelers. And I think, listen, Dallas Cowboys Sunday Night Football. Give me the win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they upset Dallas. If I could definitely be wrong about any of these other four, but I think my lock right now is they're going to upset the Dallas Cowboys and beat them, at home on Sunday Night Football. That defense is, and I don't think the Cowboys has done good enough or enough at all this offseason, and so I think they're gonna hit some slumps. And so then they go to the Raiders, not a good football team. They're gonna win against the Raiders. They're gonna play the Jets. What Jets teams are we gonna get? That's a question mark. Is Aaron Rodgers gonna be relevant this year? I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be healthy. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I'm definitely thinking they could get a win here. But for the first loss of the season, I'm gonna give it against the New York Jets. I think they'll beat the Giants. They're gonna be the worst team in football. I think the Giants are coming off the bye week in Washington. I think Washington are gonna surprise a lot of people this season. They're gonna be a good football team. I think this game will go to the numbers. So I'm gonna give them the win for the Commanders. So that's like two losses already. I'm gonna say split for all division games, so 3-3 on the season. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip all past these, and so this is where it happens at on the last. You look at this last. Wow, that's crazy. Look at the last from week 11 to week 18. They have They have four division games in a row with two of those four being the Browns. Um, then they go to Philly. They go again to Baltimore, Kansas City, and the Bengals. So they have one of the hardest second half schedules in the National Football League by any means. They are playing the defending champions, the reigning MVP twice, um, and they're playing all their division games in the second half of the season. So when I look at this gap, I think there's a lot of losses that are going to come here, and it's going to feel discouraging. But you got to remember they had a very good start to the season, and they're going to limp into the playoffs after getting a bunch of harder competition games. And so I think they're going to beat Philly. I'm not sold on Philly. So many people are very high on Philly. I'm not one of those people. Um, and I think Kansas City, hopefully at this point, they have the division wrapped up where they aren't really out there trying. It'll be in Pittsburgh. So if the Steelers can get a win against the Chiefs 2 weeks before the start of the playoffs, I think that's a big win for them. Don't know how reasonable that is or how realistic that is, but it's definitely possible. I think the amount of wins that I'm going to put for the Steelers this season, I think 10 wins minimum, or no, 10 wins is their sweet spot again. I think they get at least 9 wins. I don't know. There's no way they get less than 9 wins with the start of the schedule that they have. I think they get 9 wins, just at least, and I think they can get a maximum of 12 wins. If they can really have a great second half of the season, then they'll be fine. But it's all about how teams look in December, how teams look in November. Like that's when it really matters. That's when people are actually caring. That's when people are actually caring about your records and all that stuff. So I'll be interested to see. I'll be interested to see what happens with the Steelers at that point. And once they get past, the Commanders, I'll be interested to see if they could really win. Because one, two, I think 7 games in the past they'll probably go 4-3. I think they'll go 4-3 in those 7 games. Probably 3-4 actually. So 3-4 on those last 11 or 7, and then they should get a bunch of wins at the beginning of the season. A bunch of teams that aren't really relevant. So let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Steelers fans, let me know what you think about my assessment of your team. But yes, watch all the other Let's Talk NFL series down below in the channel. And I've been your host, Davion. It's been the postgame. Peace.